You're on air with Douglas, where fans are connected to their favorite celebrities. And now, here's your host, Douglas.
All right, everybody. Happy Martin Luther King Day. It is Monday, January 20th. We're coming to you live at 4:30 p.m. on the West Coast. And today, I have David with me. David, what's going on your side of the world?
Oh, nothing. Just catching up on my DVR. I didn't DVR Revenge, so I'm watching that. And, just relaxing on MLK Day.
MLK Day, yeah. Well, This is a good day. He's our guest tonight, Mr. Kristoff St. This is his fourth time back to the show, and this time we're going to be talking about his brand new documentary called A Man Called God. You can go to mancalledgodmovie.com and watch the different trailers, see the synopsis. I mean, I cannot wait to see this. This just looks amazing, and I'm ready to just dive right in. Welcome to the show, Kristoff.
Hello. Hey, Dougie Doug, a.k.a. Dougie Fresh, and there's David from David and Goliath, who flew the giant. Is that what you did, David? Woo, baby.
You are crazy.
Yeah, I know. That's what people say. But listen, first of all, let me say happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It's a very auspicious, special day. I feel the love. It's all around. Do you feel it too, fellas?
Oh, yeah. I feel it. I feel it all over.
Okay, let me get this out of the way.
Boy.
A special shout-out to my girls deep undercover in the woods as they figure out an exit strategy and an entrance into a brand-new world. So a shout-out to them, and then to Paris and Julian and Lila, my kids, big kisses and hugs, and everybody else in the fam, YNR included. This is a very auspicious day. I'm glad to be a part of your show.
Oh, thank you so much for coming back. And it was great to see you this past summer at the YNR cake cutting event and the meet and greet as well, for the fan event as well. So it was great to see you back then. So, and I just kind of follow you everywhere because I also saw you when I lived in Tampa. I got to go see you in 2011. So I just kind of follow wherever Kristoff goes.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, that's nice, man. Yeah, good to see you down in Tampa. And then the 40th anniversary, which was a real treat to be a part of. We had the red carpet there.
Yeah, that was really awesome.
A lot of new people involved with the cast and all the hierarchy of the show. We had Steve Kant, Angelica McDaniel. I mean, the show has changed hands a number of times over the years since I've been there, but the constant has been Sony and Steve Kent, Steve Moscow, the people who have stood by the show. Also, Bell Phillip Productions. I mean, that's the obvious. Bill Bell Sr., Lee Phillip Bell, the boys, Bradley and Billy, along with Laura Lee. It has been a real family, and I know we hear this a lot with actors from shows. It is. And then, it also isn't at times. There's some dysfunction in our family, but we sure have a great time doing it. We're proud to put it on, every day of the week, 52 weeks a year. It's such a treat to be a part of this show.
Yeah, and you just keep bringing it. You got all kinds of new stuff since we last talked. Now you're involved a little bit deeper with, Neil and Leslie are now involved, and we got some troublemaking coming up with, this girl that's stalking Abby, and so your family, little Mr. Devon, inherited all of Catherine's money, and
wait a second, Dougie Doug, a.k.a. Dougie Fresh. Let's go back to what you just said. Little Mr. Devon, do I have to call Brighton on the phone and say, is it referred to as Little Mr. Devon on the On Air with Doug show?
Well, I guess I'm just kind of like, how can he not know? Why isn't no credit card company calling him a little bit more often? Because I drove across the country from Florida to California, and every time I got gas, my stuff was locked down. So come on now. That's why I kind of said that.
Well, but Doug, in all honesty, if you're going to pick on a credit card company not calling Devon, then what about all the stuff that's happened over the years? The decapitations, people ending up in trash compactors, Victor holding Brad in the jail cell. Come on, man, it's always, implausible stuff that takes our attention.
Right.
And soap opera is no different. That's why we do it so, because there are situations which are completely fantastic, completely Fantasyland based. So it's a soap, man. That's what we got.
Yeah, and I'm enjoying it. I'm anxious to see what 2014 has in store for the Winters family. Especially Lily and Kane, because now they bought the athletic club, and you You got Hillary that's dipping in their business. So there's some good stuff for the Winters family. I'm really glad to see more of you on this last year. So that's great.
Thank you, Doug.
And also,
we're trying to bring you guys excellent. So cool. Thank you.
Send you a big congratulations to you and also the Y&R family, as Y&R was renewed until 2017. So congratulations on that. We got some more generosity for the next few years at least.
Yes, we do. We'll starting next July through that'll start the 3-year period through 2017. We did get renewed, and hats off to everybody involved.
Exactly. Well, I just want to say this documentary. I mean, there's not much to go by except for what's on the website, but just the trailer itself is mesmerizing. I mean, my you've been tweeting a lot about it and stuff, and that's why I invited you on today. But I just found it so incredibly in depth. Like there's so many questions, but of course we haven't seen it yet because it hasn't debuted. First off, I know you're going to be doing some film festivals that are on your website, the San Diego Black Film Fest, the Pan African Film Festival, and then the American Documentary Film Festival and Fun over the next few months. But when will it be available for a wider audience?
Well, first of all, let me start with we'll talk about the history and the beginning of the film. But let me start off by saying we have a world premiere for this documentary in San Diego, not this week, but next week. It's going to be February 1st in the Gaslamp Quarter, downtown San Diego. If you need information about it, you can go to www.sdbff.com. That's San Diego Black Film Festival.com. It'll have information about the exact location. But I want people to be aware that is our world premiere. In the festival status. And then we come right back to Los Angeles a week later and do our Los Angeles premiere at the Pan African Film Festival. If you want information about that, that's www.p.aff.org. And our screening dates on that are the 9th of February, I believe it's 6:30, and on the 14th, Valentine's Day, hey, for all you lovers out there, that's going to be at 3:15. And that's at the old Magic Johnson Theaters, the Raves 15 Cinema, right off of Martin Luther King Boulevard in Inglewood. So if you're in the hood, no pun intended, then come on down, buy some tickets, and come see our show. And then we turn around a month later, and we're going to be in sunny, beautiful Palm Springs, California, for the American Documentary Film Festival. And the date on that is not yet set. I know the date for the festival is around the 27th, but our screening date hasn't been set. So that's the information about the festival. Now, to answer your question, Doug and David, we started this whole thing 34 years ago, and it's taken a real life of its own. This journey is most amazing, and I've been living it. So I kept real quiet about it over the years, and it's something that I've been working on patiently, laboring over it for the past almost year and a half, and finally I'm happy with a cut that I think will shock the audiences. It's not shock value, but again, I have to say maybe it is. It has shades of the Jonestown cult, if anyone's unaware of that.
Yeah.
Jim Jones, back in the day, in Guyana, held almost 1,000 people captive by his charismatic presence, which was ultimately used in such an evil way, and I feel sorry for those that were involved with that. But just under 1,000 people perished at the hands of Jim Jones because they drank, get ready for this, cyanide-laced Kool-Aid. And men, women, and children, babies, little babies, were forced to drink the Kool-Aid. Many of them unknowingly drank this Kool-Aid. In fact, they were having a party. They were having this party with music and song and dance and thought that all was well. But you know what? It wasn't. No. And unfortunately, one man brought them all down. And it's such a sad, tragic event. When we witness stuff like that in life, we have to ask and wonder and question, why? Why did God let this happen? And I must say that I'm from the school that, yeah, it's a little, maybe you don't agree, but everything in life is for a reason. That signpost up ahead, we turn left, we turn right, we go straight. Everything is for a reason. Connect the dots. Everything that is happening around us all the time It's supposed to be happening. And, of course, we have our own free will, but, indeed, this is what it's supposed to be. It's made by design. It's the master plan, and there's nothing that we can do about it. You know, sometimes we have a voice and we can shout loud about what we're trying to do, but, you know, I've been very patient with a man called God, and I'm just so happy that we've gotten it to the point where we're going to release it. Your original question was, where can we see this after the premieres? It's not going to be on DVD. We're going to take this through the festival route. We want to birth it, so to speak, throughout the next year, get some acclaim, critical acclaim from the festivals. I do believe that this is just 3 of a few more that we're going to be entered into and be selected. I'm not looking to win, although that would be nice. It's always nice to have accolades. But, you know, bottom line is we don't know when it's going to be available for the masses to see via television or DVD. We're gunning for a theatrical release, which means we have to find distribution, domestic and internationally. And once we procure that, acquire that, then we'll be able to drop the bomb on theaters nationwide. So that's the plan. Yeah.
Well, I guess the next question I had with reviewing this is, why did it take so long? Was it just now feel right to come out with this, or, you know, I guess kind of like to explain that to us.
Doug, so oftentimes in Hollywood projects, we don't know this. You guys don't know this. Unless I read about it, I wouldn't know. But so often projects are sitting around for 10, 15 years, 20 years. You know, I mean, Sylvester Stallone, way back in the day, he had written Rocky, refused to give up on it. They were taking his script, but not him with it. And he said, "No, man, that's BS. I'm going with it. No matter where, I have to play this role of Rocky, Rocky Balboa." Now, imagine if Sylvester had decided, yeah, you know what, you can have the script and put Redford in it or put Newman in it, because they were big stars at the time in the early 70s, mid-70s. And where would he be as an actor today? Probably nowhere near where he is. So with conviction, that dude made it happen. You know, he waited around for a while. There's many projects that have to sit on the shelf. One day, season goes, hey, what about this one? He just did it. Sylvester just did it with another project. He had a script that he had written 20 years ago, and he pulled it out and said, I can't remember which one it was. It wasn't Prisoner. I just saw it. I can't remember. Maybe it was. Anyway, that's the reason why. 34 years ago, when we shot this, we didn't really know truthfully what to do with it. It was to back up in the history. I was 14 when we did this project, and we had already been involved with the cult, this Hindu cult that Sathya Sai Baba, full name Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, was at head of, and he lives in southern India, and so we were living in Southern California, and my stepmother had heard about this man, and she started going to these meetings in Los Angeles. There were quite a few people at these meetings. It was like church. People sat around and they prayed. They didn't speak in tongues, but they might as well have. And it was all adulation and prayer about their Lord and Savior, Sathya Sai Baba, this man, this miracle man who had the power, or has the power to materialize things out of thin air. Dig that concept, yo. You got Madame Blavatsky back in the day in Europe, in Germany, who supposedly could teleport objects from one room to the other. I mean, we're talking about some deep kind of New Age esoterical stuff that my parents were involved with in the early, late 70s. And all of this culminated in our journey to southern India to film this documentary that was requested by Sathya Sai Baba, because my father, being a filmmaker, and a damn good one, having starred in Shaft with Richard Roundtree, he was the third lead in that. He played Ben Buford. He had just wrote, produced, directed, and starred in Top of the Heap, another film that critically acclaimed. He got put on the blacklist for it. He had political views. Not to get too long-winded here, but it was a very interesting 10-year period through the 70s that we lived. And then when we decided to go there and film this documentary, and we had 15 hours on 16 mil, we came back to the States with our story from there, and we all looked at each other and said, how do we do this? What do we do? And my dad decided to put it in the vault and leave it there. And literally leave it there in the vault, temperature controlled, so that the film would not degrade or disintegrate. About 5 years ago, my dad got a bug about it and decided to pull it out and started messing with it, but couldn't figure it out. And I sat down with him and I asked him, let me take a stab at it. Let me just put the material together. Let's see what we can come up with. And the story is, which we wouldn't have done 34 years ago. The story is all through my eyes. It's my narration. It's my story. And it's heavier than you think. And it's a very beautiful, epic, dangerous, dark. The beautiful side of evil is what I like to call it. There's such a darkness to it, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. And I get chills when I talk about it because it was my life. Yeah. And I'm bringing it to those that want to see it now. And hopefully my journey will help other people that are out there not to go through this same thing. I'm telling you, expose the truth and warn the people. This is what I must do. This is my mission. Even though I'm an actor on Young and the Restless, which is a beautiful by design show that I've somehow latched onto in my early 20s. I've had my children. My children have grown up since I've been on that show. But this project, A Man Called God, is my baby, and I'm hoping that this is a journey that people take with me and understand.
Yeah. Now, when your family went over there, did you have any idea that it was going to be like this? I mean, because back then, we didn't have, we had news, of course, but we didn't have social media and that instant access. So, did you have any idea that this was going to be the result when you got there?
No, I had no idea. I was a spectator in the audience. Although I was the star of the piece, and not in that way. This grand stage of life, I was a spectator, and it was all happening so fast, and I'm the one who got in there down and dirty and started discovering, uncovering, and ultimately recovering and trying to, warn my parents about the dangers and things that I was watching, but I guess maybe, it's something about children and animals that maybe they're a little closer to the goodness and innocence and are able to pick up on things. I'm not sure. I just know that the masses there, the adults, were seemingly in a trance. They were brainwashed. They were taken over. They were manipulated. They were misguided, unfortunately. And I didn't realize it. No, I really didn't until later. Yeah.
Did you have, experiencing something such, in such a way like that, in different ways, people have experienced things traumatic in their lives and had an impact on them for either a lifetime or for a long while after. Did that have an effect on you for a long time, or do you still have, memories or flashbacks, often about it, especially now since you're working on the project?
That's a very good question, Doug. Of course, the fallout was very large. My metaphors are deep. It was like Hiroshima and Nagasaki for me, and I say that with all the metaphor that it's intended for. Many people perished at the hands of the atomic bomb, but it was just such a nuclear explosion in my life, in my young life, and I was able to hurdle over it many years later. I had to go through really my first marriage and first divorce until I started dealing with what that whole event was. And I think I had to look in the eyes of my children in order to understand the gravity and the depth of what it was for me.
Yeah.
And that's what their innocence did for me. So I hope that answers your question.
No, yeah, that's perfect. Now, in the trailer, at the end of the trailer, it says, and this is not a spoiler or anything because it's on the trailer, it says that it's still going on. So is is this person still alive, or is there just a new generation, or what?
Well,
I don't know if you covered it.
You're going to have to watch the film to really find out all the idiosyncrasies, the nuances, really the end of this story, which is really the beginning for some.
Gotcha.
The organization is thriving. I mean, it's a huge deal. There are 50 million followers worldwide. And I can tell you that, yes, this man has passed as of last year or the year before. He died on Easter Sunday. Which is only fitting for who he was, what he represented, and the evil that he carried with him. It must have been a heavy sack on his back, and even he, I forgive and bless and hope that, his spirit found some salvation at the end. But let me tell you something, man. There's people that are, the infighting that's going along now in that organization is just unbelievable. It's a very, very rich organization, Sathya Sai Trust. And to be honest with you, Doug, to be very, very blunt, there are a lot of people that don't want to see this movie out. And I fear no evil, and I walk like a straight, in a straight line. But there is a little trepidation about the people that, are from that darkness that may not want to see this, do not want to see this material exposed, and will try to approach. And I rebuke them, man. I'll go after them. You can't hide.
Yeah.
You cannot. This evil is so strong, Doug. I don't think you understand. I told you about Jonestown.
Yeah.
That was 1,000 people that were in his camp. And Martin Luther King, I found this quote about evil, and it affected me so much because this is what, I told you. This is my mission. This is what I must do. And MLK said, "He who passively accepts evil is as much involved in it as he who helps to perpetrate it. He who accepts evil without protesting against it is really cooperating with it." And that is too true. That means that if I sit idly by with this information and do not warn people and dig it, this is information that's deep undercover, okay? It's not some fly-by-night silly information. This is affecting millions. This is 50 million people who are already involved, and how many more millions of people will go to this individual and sign up and become a part of that camp and not understand that they're signing up for something that's all wrong. So anyway, that's that.
We must be on the same wavelength, because my next question was going to be, do you feel there's going to be any aftermath of this release of people that are in this situation that's going on? And you already answered it, so that was my final question.
Well, but the end of it is there are snipers everywhere.
Yeah.
There are snipers gunning from every angle and every direction. And, the Lord will protect me. And this I know, and I trudge very carefully. I don't want to use too many cliches, but, I'm carrying a big stick. And as I'm getting older, I'm realizing how short life really is, although life continues after life. But we only have this one life, and I intend to do whatever I must do in order to be that ambassador of faith, and definitely, to expose this horrible man.
Yeah. Well, and just to go to the soap for a second, on screen, Nikki is getting involved with a storyline similar to this, or going back to a storyline that happened in the 70s. So that's just kind of wild that you have a fictional situation going on your soap, and then you have a real life thing that's going on. So has there been any conversation between you and Melody, about this? About the coincidences of this?
Oh. That's a good segue back to the show. But no, man, listen, Melody Thomas Scott, I love her, and she's a beautiful. Everyone is on that show, man. I wish people knew. I wish they really knew how beautiful and wonderful and just treasured these people are that I work with, and their track records are just stellar, you know. And so Melody and I have never spoken about this cult, and I really, like I said, I've been on the QT. I've been, you know, keeping a low profile, low blow like my afro. But the truth is, if you look at storylines that have occurred in the past, if I look at them, and I digress for 1 second here. In 2006, when I had the storyline of, it was actually the coming out of Neil, and it was the first time that, you know, as the actor, I felt so confident that, you know, I was getting storyline, and Lynn Marie Latham, who was writing the show, I worked so many days that year, and it was really, Neil changed his wardrobe, he got out of the suits, he started wearing shirts and jeans and slacks, and he got involved with this new lady named Carmen Mesta. And it was actually in front of his wife, who went bananas and ballistic and got very jealous about it, although there wasn't an involvement sexually. It was just really a business thing that was starting to turn into a romance. And so the divorce, or the relationship with Drew was on shaky ground. And guess what? My whole world was being turned upside down that year with my relationship with my wife. And, you know, I had a 3-year-old daughter. I had a 3-year-old daughter with her at the time. Lola was 3. And I could not believe the similarities of what was happening in my real life and what was happening on the show. And, you know, I started banging weights like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Man, I would get in the gym all the time trying to, you know, divert attention. And I'd go to work and go through this whole cathartic experience of, wow, man, my life is on this stage now. And then when she went over the cliff, dig this, oh, man. When she went over the cliff, Drusilla, that was the month that I got the divorce was final, right?
Wow.
So it was all done and over. It was all done and gone. And as I went to the balance of 2007, the remainder of that year, it stopped. But there was a good 9-month period which mirrored my real life to a T.
Wow, that is wild. So I'm just going to go back to the doc now, because David has some questions for you regarding the doc.
Well, first off, I want to say thank you for bringing that story. But did you realize you look like Drake? Like you? I'm looking at this because I just saw Drake on Saturday Night Live, and I'm looking at this little boy with an afro. I'm like, is that Drake? No, that's Kristoff. Oh man, wow, you guys look so much alike.
Well, brother, if you weren't a brother, then I would say, man, this is the wrong day to be telling me that. But, hey, I've heard it all. I've heard it all from El DeBarge to Alfonso Ribeiro when he was on Silver Spoons. Somebody actually said Robbie Allen Rippey way back. And I said, man, that little brother was eating hamburgers on that Burger King commercial. I don't look nothing like it. We just had a big ass at the time.
Whoever said that to you, Kristoff, find them and slap them, because that's not true. Drake is the closest to what you look like, and I could not believe it.
No, there's Mario Van Peebles who's out there. He could be part of my family.
I could see that.
Quite a few, but okay, if you say so, then Drake is cool because I like my dude very much. So that's a compliment. Thank you.
I think so. But I was thinking this as you were explaining. Now, I am a strong black brother, you know. I'm strong, and I have this saying, people can only do to you what you let them do. Yeah. So my question is, do you feel that these people who are susceptible to this guy, this cult, do you think there's something missing, that they're just like charismatic and, drawn into him? Because I don't care how charismatic you are. If you aren't hitting the spots in my life that I want, then I'm not listening to you. So do you feel that there's something missing in these people's lives that draw them into these cult leaders?
Brother David, there's a lot to this answer. I'm really going to try to keep this short. It's about mind control. See, David, Doug, there are forces that we know not of. There are spirits and forces that exist around us that we have no control over. I'm not saying that there's ghosts flying here and there and being crazy. I'm saying that all we have to do is look at our world history. And, you know, the Greeks and the Romans, who had the strongest empires in the world, that had to come to their knees because of their society that was, full of scandal, full of manipulation, and ultimately war took them out. But there was a lot of there was a lot of bad stuff going on, and that's what I'm saying is really occurring with these leaders that are charismatic, that do amass a lot of followers, and they're able to control them. It's not just them. It's not just their, what their thoughts and their speeches that they give. It's really about an overall sort of world of evil, manipulation and evil, and people are drawn in like magnets. If you don't have a strong foundation, you're going to be drawn in the wrong direction. So that's pretty much it. But I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. But yeah.
Now, how do you get out of that, and what happens when you do? It's probably like when somebody escapes a kidnapper and then goes home. How do you go back to your normal life?
Well, I guess there's a lot of healing that must take place before you go back to your normal life, and that can take years. It can take months. I guess it depends on the individual, man, and how deep you got in, and what happened, to you or those around you. That particular cult, I mean, I can just say it like this. My stepmother, Maria, lovely lady, a British actress, very intelligent. I mean, she was the lady in my life who was so strong, a pillar of strength, that she didn't let me date any girls. She kept me out of trouble. Even when I was, 17, 18, she was telling me, until you get married, I mean, all this stuff. And I respected her for it, but, she was manipulated to the point where she really believed that this man was God. God incarnated, walking the planet amongst us. And so she was so far gone with that. At the time, I didn't understand it, but I had to take stock of it later and think and say, well, she was obviously taken hostage. They kidnapped her soul and her mind, and did her in, and she wasn't able to tether to anything, any kind of foundation, until years later. And I was, responsible for helping her to achieve that. But she was stuck, man. She was glued to this guy. And my dad, he was kind of ambivalent about it. He didn't really understand it. He was sort of along for the ride with his missus. And I understand that, because I've done a few things in my life where I just kind of blindly went because my wife or my ex-wives, would lead me there. But nothing like this with this magnitude.
Well, the only other thing I have to say is thank you for sharing that story, how your personal life and your on-screen life were paralleling, because so many times you turn on the TV and you just see the screen. You don't have any idea what's going on behind the scenes. And it makes you human to hear that Neil and Kristoff were going through the thick of it. And, I just appreciate you being open and honest about it. I really do.
Yo, man, nobody really knows unless you're there.
Exactly.
Nobody really knows. And all I can do is say, I can tell you that my experience there was this and that I was able to get out, and I'm a better man now because of it, and I'm able to raise my children as a better father because of it. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, man. No one's perfect. I'm far from it. I'm learning every day. When I wake up, I have to, look at myself in the mirror and say, what can I do to better my approach today to other human beings, man? Because that's me. I don't know. It's just something that I have to do, to pursue. And there's a lot of people who don't want to look in the mirror. They don't want to see it for what it is.
Exactly.
This documentary is going to blow the lid off of cults, I think, in general. And I'm just praying that, we get it out there mainstream, get good distribution, and are able to announce its story. So I'm really happy that you guys had me on, and we were able to chop this up and discuss it and, expose it. So I appreciate you greatly for that.
No problem.
And
go ahead.
Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to have one last question regarding the documentary was, and I don't if it's in the documentary, then we'll just wait to watch it. But in that time, in that era, in India, how do 50 million people worldwide get involved with something like that? I mean, how do they learn about it? I mean, for people like in America or in Australia and wherever, I mean, how was that you learn about that back then?
Mm-hmm. Well, let's do the math and be smart about this. In India alone, there's 700, 800 million people. China has 2 billion. I mean, we're talking Southeast Asia and parts of that world or parts of the world are extremely populated. You come to a country like this with 350, 400 million. I can't even remember but definitely, the message is disseminated by those that travel before people and end up there. I can tell you that John Lennon and the Beatles went to see Sathya Sai Baba. I can tell you that Prince Charles, he's a big phenomenon in other countries that we're not aware of, that, he took the countries by storm. I know Sai Baba never really traveled outside of India except for once. I think he went to Africa once. But his fan base was by word of mouth globally. And, the whole mystique of a man called God, not named God because that would be his parents naming him, but a man called God by millions of followers and the ability, supposedly, to materialize objects out of thin air, the ability to heal people by his touch. These are things that I think even more people in America are more apt or more susceptible to run after. East Indians, this is kind of not a normal occurrence, but there are a lot of people there who believe in magic, black magic. There are a lot of people there who do tricks, and like stuff like digging a hole in the ground and covering themselves up with dirt and staying in the ground for days. And then they dig them back up, and they're still alive, and the villagers think that this person is, working with white magic. Yeah. Well, it's a mindset. And so, the word spread quickly, and that's why I think that globally he has such a large fan base. He's India's biggest rock star when it comes to gurus, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank you so much for sharing this. Just I'm parallel what David said. This is definitely, I cannot wait to see where this goes, and wait to be able to view it. I may even come down to LA because I'm not too far from there, and come to the festival if possible to see it because I really want to. I'm interested in this because a couple years ago I watched the documentary and the TV film on the Jonestown cult, and it just blew me away. So. And that was just 1,000 people. But this is big. This is another huge.
We can't, Doug. You can't say just 1,000 people. One person dying at the hands of a madman like that is one too many. I'm not chastising you, man. I'm just saying it's not just that. The fact remains that anyone who can coerce people to drink Kool-Aid and knowingly, a lot of people knew that they were doing this. Anyone who can do that is definitely on the list of people who should not be roaming the planet. The manipulation involved is very deep, very heavy, and again, we go back to the beautiful side of evil. I don't know, there's nothing beautiful of that. That's just the evil of the evil. That's the dark side. That's the darkest side I've ever witnessed. You know, so definitely, man. This movie has shades of that, and even more so because of the global reach that this man has.
Exactly. Well, David wasn't on with us last year when you were on when we did. We for fans out there didn't know, Kristoff and Angel Conwell were on our show last year for a little double reunion show, and then Kristoff was on my very first year that I was on 2012. So you can go to onairwithdouglas.com to get those full kind of biography type interviews that we had with them. But David wants to ask a couple career questions, I guess, before we let you go. So David, go ahead before we wrap up.
Well, before I ask those questions, I just want to say, if people in that organization protest you, it makes it look incredibly true. Do you know what I mean? And you have definitely opened the gates for something, and it validates everything that you're doing. So I can't wait to see the finished product. Truly, I really can't. But
appreciate that, and hopefully you got my back.
Absolutely.
With others that when the when the protesting, if it does start, that there are, we have an army of soldiers that stand for righteousness and goodness, and this is what we need more of. People that are willing to kind of stick their necks out and announce, the truth and what is really happening in India.
You got
today.
the gay mafia. Don't worry, the gay mafia is behind you. Don't worry about that.
Well, I'm relying on you two then. I'm relying on you two to pull it together.
All right. We got you back there.
You crack me up.
I just wanted to say hats off to Young the Restless, because no matter what goes on, they employ the biggest cast of black folk on daytime. And I have to say hats off, because when I first started watching soaps, I wanted to see myself. I wanted to see myself represented. And at the time, I saw Generations, hello, and right. I love that show. And I love you and Miss Vivica.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I'm
you.
still waiting for Stephanie to come back to Y&R. So, that's with Malcolm. And, hey, Drew's not there. Stephanie can come back. See, I know what I'm talking about when I talk about your career here.
You do. Vivica Fox, yeah. Vivica Fox was, I love her. That's my girl.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell your girl to come on? Drew's not there to kick her butt, so what's up with that?
Well, that's from your lips to God's ears. I mean, very briefly, there's been quite a few African-American roles on our show over the 23 years that I've been there, and, some head writers see it differently about how to utilize the characters. But definitely, I've been a constant, and that says something. I've heard the cliche, "I'd rather be lucky than good." Although in acting, I don't know if that means one's ego is completely crushed in that statement.
Right.
I'd rather be lucky and good.
Right.
I don't know if I can have both, but damn it, that seems to have somewhat occurred. And there's people out there that would want to be on the show, and I'm not sure if Vivica still wants to be, but that would be up to the powers that be to bring a Vivica Fox back. But she certainly would be a welcome character in my book.
I was loving it when she was on, but then she was paired with Malcolm. I was like, oh, no. Maya ain't going for his brother. I wasn't having it. But whatever, it is what it is. But I love what they did with Leslie, too. I love that she has been on for years, just here and there, and then all of a sudden they made her full-time and they put her with you, and I was like, that's good. But I do want to say, I think that we do need black writers, but you don't need black writers to tell black stories. You need writers to tell stories, period. Have you thought about going behind the scenes and maybe writing some stuff? Do they allow actors to do that as a part-time gig?
Well, David and Doug from the gay mafia, you trying to get me all up in trouble up at my camp, ain't you? Look at you. See how you are? Man,
I'm
we're
looking
supposed to
out
talk
for
about
you.
a documentary, and now it's changed gears. Listen, we all digressed on that one, but all I can say is good storytelling is colorless. I really leave, and I do agree. Come on, man. I mean, the obvious is it's the writing on the wall, and I can't go into in-depth about what I think should be behind the scenes. I am a producer and a writer and a director, and I have done, some things. I used to produce a show for CBS called CBS Soap Break. I hosted and produced. A lot of people don't remember the show because it was just short-lived, man, but I did that show for about a year, and that was, that was a real treat because I got to interview all of the Bold and the Beautiful and the Young and the Restless cast. My dude Shamar, J. Eddie Peck, John McCook, Peter Bergman. We had a real nice run with it. But unfortunately that ended. And would I like to produce or write for this show? I don't think so, man. I don't envy their position, man. They've got a lot of work to do. Those writers are, man, I mean, and I don't know if fans give them the right kind of credit when it comes to how much time they have to spend. Sure, there's going to be criticism. Hey, listen, everyone's going to be criticized in life.
Right.
They're not going to please. They're not going to please everybody, obviously. But it's not something that I aspire to. I'd much rather write single camera television or features. Multi-camera is quite a job. You either have sitcoms or you have soaps, and it's such a monstrosity to have to create, 52 weeks a year of story, man. The Bible for that? No, man.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the only last question I have is, after this whole juggernaut is over, do you have anything in the works as far as what you're doing after this?
I do. Yeah, I'm already working on another documentary. I can tell you this. It's called Swiped, and it's about credit card fraud. And someone in particular that was part of the founding partners with the Crips. He's an OG, and it's a pretty dangerous world that he was living in, and continues to sort of, straddle the fence on. But his story is fantastically, dangerously, colorfully good, and that's the one that I'm working on right now, along with another concept that I bought the rights to. I can't share that right now, but it's something about the Sweethearts of Swing. So if you caught that, then you're going to Google it and you're going to see.
Gotcha.
Well, that's on your show too, with Lamone and Devon. Lamone's character, what's his name? Mason and Devon. Jeez, what next? If you tell me that your child isn't your child and your baby mama is in a coma, I'm just gonna. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Jeez.
Well, hey, listen. Go back to Mason and Devon. You said what's going to happen next? Last time I saw them, they were in the sauna together. So you go figure. Who knows what's going to happen?
Hey, I was writing my own story there. Okay, I'm just saying.
I wouldn't mind being Devon that time. Damn.
Right? Oh, you're so funny. You cracked me up. Anyway, I just want to say also a big shout out to Joshua Morrow. Recently, he took the comedy and did a few little videos, and I hope he tweeted me and said he's going to make some more. But you were part of one of these videos called Soaps and Other Stuff, and it was so nice to see Joshua in a comedic role because he plays such a serious role as Nick Newman, and so and you were part of one of these episodes that he did, and you were quite funny. So, what was it like working with him on that little skit there?
Josh Schwa. He's one of the coolest dudes I've ever met, and I don't say that because I think he's listening or anybody's listening. I mean, I'm just doing this for you guys. But Schwa is, man, he's incredibly funny, and his dry sense of humor, his wit, people don't really know about, but I guess now they do because he managed to put something together with Greg, who works over at YNR. Yeah, man, it's a good little show. I've been friends with Josh since, I don't know, we both started around the same time. I think he came in around 93. I mean, I got there in 91, and we've been boys ever since. I've watched his family grow. He's watched mine. And let me get this straight. It's not like we all hang out, outside the studio all the time. But I mean, throughout the years, we see each other, and now with social media, we can really catch what's happening. So it was a good experience working with Josh on that.
Yeah. He's got a brand new movie coming out as well this year, and we saw the trailer for it recently, and it looks really good. So it's fun to see, people that we've grown up with, the characters, but also see the actors and actresses go and do something else. For example, Michelle Stafford is now doing the Stafford Project, which was hysterical. I mean, she's talking about comedic. She got to show her comedic side, and I mean, it's just neat to see these, these different projects that you all are doing, separate from your character on daytime.
Well, thank you. Passion projects are extremely rewarding, and we strive to, bring excellence to the show. But even more than that, we're human beings, people outside the show that aspire for other things. And you can see what I'm kind of working on right now. Not kind of what I am deeply entrenched in. And Michelle and company, Josh, you'd be surprised how many of the actors have different things going on. Here's a little bit of trivia. Did you know that Quinn Redeker, who played Rex Sterling on The Young and the Restless, who was married at one point, to Katherine Chancellor, I believe yes, they were. He wrote The Deer Hunter, the Academy Award-winning film The Deer Hunter, starring Robert De Niro and company. You're right?
I
you knew
just
that,
found
right?
out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wow.
So don't be surprised if you see some names, maybe mine too, you know, at the movies one day when you're sitting there munching on your popcorn and bonbons and your weed and the
they
red
don't have
bonbons
bonbons anymore.
Oh, goodness. Well, Kristoff, I just
goodness.
want to thank you so much for spending, some time with us today. This is, I asked you to come on because when I saw the trailer and I read it, went to the site and read it, I just felt compelled. I was like, I want to at least see if he would come on and talk about it because, it's going to be a while till the masses get to see it. But I'm just so proud of this for you, and I can't wait to see, what the results are after the festivals. I'm anxious to see, reviews and, what it's going to lead to for you as well. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I do appreciate it. And the last thing that I want to give to you is a quote by Martin Luther King Jr. And I'll leave you with this. And thank you for having me on the show. I didn't intend to talk for more than 15 or 20 like we had talked about before, but, man, I guess this got into something good. And so anyway, here it goes. History will have to record that the greatest tragedy of this period of social transition was not the strident clamor of the bad people, but the appalling silence of the good people. And that, my friends, is why I am pumping A Man Called God. Silence gets me nowhere. There
exactly. There we go. Well, if you're not following Kristoff on Twitter, you definitely need to. He definitely shares some very mind-thinking, things that makes you think. So make sure you're following him at Kristoff St. John with the number 1 after it, because I remember, when you joined, there was some jackass out there that's trying to be you. So you have to go add 1 to it. But that means you're just the only one. See, you are number 1. You are the only one. So that's a good way to that.
Well,
but anyway.
Doug, the story is that, he was going out because he was taking my pictures from Facebook and he was putting them on Twitter, and he was really rude to the female fans. I mean, he was just acting, like you said, a jerk-ass. And so when I went up there, I cringed, and I did the wrong thing. I tried to do battle with him on Twitter, and all he was doing was throwing it back at me. I got so frustrated. I actually got in touch with the Twitter office and someone very high up on the ladder of Twitter. And so she was responsible for making my Twitter page, and then ultimately shutting this person down because of the nastiness that was going on. But I couldn't get the migration of the Twitter followers that he already had. I believe at that time it was something like 4,000, and I couldn't bring those fans over, and a lot of them didn't know that I was, they thought that I was
real deal.
So ain't no fake here, man. Ain't no fake, no reason. KSJ1. Check it out, yo.
All right, and also go and bookmark the website for the documentary. It's mancalledgodmovie.com. Be sure to bookmark it and look for the updates so when you know what's coming to your area. So definitely check it out, and thank you once again. So we will talk to you, I'll bring you back once it's, come full circle.
Cool. Shout out again to the girls deep undercover. And thank you, Doug. Thank you, David. Have a wonderful rest of the night. Love you guys, and we'll talk soon.
Love you too, man. All right. You take care.
Bye.
Bye.
You too. Bye-bye. Bye.
Oh, goodness. What a treat. He's just amazing. And now I'm just more like in awe of him. It just, this trailer, the trailer, if you haven't seen the trailer, you got to go watch it because it just 2 minutes just gets you, he did a great job of editing the trailer because it draws you in and you're like, oh, what happened? So it's.
I think that's comparable to how that guy drew them in, isn't it?
Yeah, very, 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 very similar. That's cool. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight to Kristoff. It was kind of like an impromptu, last-minute gig, but I'm glad he came on to share his story, and I can't wait to be able to see it. You can go to onairwithdouglas.com to see who's coming up next. And thank you, David, for being part of this. I wanted not because you're black. I just wanted to be part of it, and because you had never spoken to him before, so I wanted to bring you on for that. So thank you, David. Thank you, all the listeners. Thank you, Kristoff, and I'll catch you on the next show. So take care. Talk to you guys soon. Bye, David.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to tonight's show. Be sure to see what's coming up next at www.onairwithdouglas.com. With over 240 shows in the archive, take a look around and listen to all the great guests you missed. Follow the show on Twitter @OnAirWithDoug. Until next time, have a great night.